Welcome to Textila by Pavi. In this video we are going to discuss about this keyword in JavaScript. If you have ever written JavaScript and seen this do something completely unexpected, you are not alone. Developers all around the world have yelled at their screen because of this little keyword. But here is the thing. If you truly understand how this works, you will write cleaner and smarter and bug-free code. So what exactly is this in JavaScript, and what does it sometimes feel like it's out to get you? Let's break it down step by step with examples you will never forget. This is everywhere, in function, in object, in classes, in event listener, even inside framework like React and Node.js. If you misunderstood it, your code can break in ways that make zero sense. But if you master it, you will write a pro-level JavaScript that behaves exactly how you expect. Think of this like saying the word me. If I am at home, I would say, pass me the salt. My family knows what I mean. But I am at a restaurant and shout, pass me the salt. Waiter look confused. Why? Because who is me depends on where I am. That is exactly how this works in JavaScript. Its meaning depends on where and how it is being used. So let's understand with example. Suppose I am declaring this in global context. Let's see what value I am getting here. So in this global scope, this refers to the global object. In browser, that's a window. That's why we are getting window here. So if we just log this outside of the function, you will get the window object. So we are getting the window object here. So let's see second scenario, like first this is a global scope. This refers to the window object. Second is in object method, right? So I am creating one person object here. This person object is holding two property, name Praveen, and one method greet. And here I am writing console.log. Hi, I am this.name. Okay. Now suppose if I call to the person.greet method here, what I get? So I am getting hi, I am Praveen here. So basically in object method, this is pointing to the object itself. So this method is pointing to the object itself here. And this is the object level, this keyword. Now let's talk about standalone function. So I have one function here, function say hello. And inside this, if you try to print the value of this, it will refer to the global context or global object. So if I call this function here, say hello, if I call this, see I am getting the window object here. Means in the standalone function or normal function, this refers to the global object. Okay. Now now let's discuss about how this works in apply, call and bind method. So I am creating one object here, user object, which is name is Sanjay, and then I am creating one method here, function greet, and this method is going to print like hi, and then this dot name here. So now this name is, if you call directly this, it will give me empty undefined there. Let's say username. If I write here username, if you call this greet directly here, it will give me undefined there, because this is referring to the global context, and global context doesn't have this username variable, so it will give me undefined there. But when you are doing apply, call or bind, so what I will do this method greet dot call, and I will pass the user object here, that is user. So now this method greet, this will behave based on the object whatever you pass here, and same for bind, call, apply also. If I do apply, so I am getting same. In case of bind, it will not get immediately execute. Basically it will return one function. For example, you see it is not getting execute here. It will return one function, let's say greeter, and when I call this function greeter, it will give me the value there, whatever the value it is binding to this object here. So this is how this works in apply. Let's talk now how this behaves in regular function and nested function. A regular function in JavaScript gets this value based on how it is called, not where it is written. So I'm going to create one object here, const user2. Inside this I have one property there, username, that is Sharad, and one value there, that is regular function, and it is a function keyword. I am writing this like this. I am trying to print the value of username here. If I call user2 dot regular function, what I am getting? So I am getting Sharad here. So basically this is the object function, right? So it will point to the object this, correct? But suppose there is one function inside this. Let's say function inner function, right? And this inner function is going to print the value of this username here inside it, and I call it inner function like this. So what I get? So you are getting it undefined there. Why? Because inner function is a regular function and it is called without any object here, right? So now this is defaulting to the window object, and it is giving you undefined there, correct? Since this property doesn't exist on the window object. So how can we fix this issue? So we can create a arrow function here. Like for example, I will comment this. I will create one arrow function here, const, let's say inner arrow, and then I will print this dot username, correct, and I will call inner arrow function here. See, now I am getting the correct value there, Sanjay username. Why? Because this arrow function doesn't have their own this, they borrow it from surrounding where it is defined, and now it is defined inside a function, that is object function. So it will get this from the object function, and object function is a part of this object, so it will give this correctly here. Another best example is like suppose you have one set timeout here, right? Some timeout function here, set timeout function here, and if suppose inside this I am writing one anonymous function, and that will run up to 200 milliseconds. Let's say this is timer, and he will write this dot username here. Let's see what I get it. So this is timer and I got undefined here. Why? Because this function is not bound to any object, so it is referring to the global scope, right? So how can we fix the issue? So if you want to fix the issue, I will comment this so that you can see the difference how it looks. I will create one function, set timeout, and I will create an arrow function here, right? And here I will write 2000 here, 200, that is milliseconds. And if I write the same line here, let's see why I get. So I am getting this is timer and Sharad. So we are getting this correctly. So basically this set timeout will work correctly when you are using the arrow function there, because arrow function doesn't have their own scope, they borrow it from the surrounding or the outer scope where it has been defined there. And that is the main use case for you to understand about this keyword. Another best example is suppose you are creating one class here, ES6 class, and let's say class machine, and this machine is having, let's say, name property, and there is one constructor here. This is the name property it is coming from, and this dot name equal to name. Okay, now I am creating one machine here. Let's laptop equal to new machine, and here I will pass name laptop. Okay, let's see what I get in laptop. Here I will get one method, get display name. This method is going to print the value of this dot name here, correct? If I call laptop dot get display name, I am going to get laptop here, correct? Means whatever the object you are creating, it will point to that object instance. So whenever you are defining any classes, this using this class, this class will point to the object instance itself. Suppose I am creating another object like desktop, and this is a desktop. Let's see what I get when I call desktop dot get display name. So I will get desktop here, right? And this is how this works in JavaScript basically. So here is the quick summary for you. So whenever it is global scope, this is pointing to the global object. Whenever it is inside object method, it is pointing to the object. Whenever it is standalone function, it is pointing to the global object. And when it is a arrow function, it will borrow it from the surrounding there. Stop letting these confuse you on it. If this cleared things up, smash the like button and subscribe for more JavaScript deep dives. And tell me in the comment what is the weirdest bug you have found or faced because of this in JavaScript. Thank you.